Okay, we're now going to have a look at the range building part of the system, which essentially is the product development and range planning for customers. For William Lamb, they obviously deal with many customers in the UK. You can see some examples here where you've got Adams, three range plans for Barbour, George, goes across to the William Lamb core range, which is their own ranges that they develop and sell from stock, and again the different customers. So each range plan is customer specific, it's season specific, and within William Lamb we have each customer or set of customers is assigned to a specific account manager. So if I wanted to look at just Richard Barnes's customers, we've got Barbour, Henleys, Penguin and Pretty Green. So when Richard logs in, he would just see his customers, he wouldn't see other people's customers at this stage. So it means every time he's looking at the screens, he's looking at information that is specific to him, that he's responsible for. He's not having to try and pick out information that he needs to be aware of on there. So just reset it back. The reason why we have multiple customers for William Lamb is that William Lamb do have certain customers that deal with different divisions. So we may have George, for example. We have 3 different account managers. One looks after the kids, one looks after the men's, one looks after the ladies. So each of the divisions has its own, has the ability to create its own range plan. If we look at this Barbour range plan, just very briefly, a couple of things. We've got these planning boards, which I think we looked at previously, but these are for licenses. You can select which licenses will be used within a particular customer's range plan. Now Barbour are an own brand customer, so normally they would not have any licensed characters, so we don't want it will not allow me because it's saying the Angry Bird has already been used somewhere within the system. So obviously we're looking here at completely test data, although it is based on fact. It is test data, and it's not perfect information. It's just used to test the system. But that's it. So for Barbour, for this range plan, the system will only allow those brands to be assigned to styles. That can be updated at any time, can be added to or deleted so long as the license hasn't been used. Material board, again, similar thing. The range plan, we have certain customers who only deal in leather products. We have certain customers that only deal in PU, PVC styles. So we can restrict the customer appropriately, so you can't, or a designer cannot by mistake assign leather to a PU style. Colour boards has changed a little bit. We've now got 2 levels. We've got this tone level where a lot of the customer accounts aren't really too interested down at the Pantone level, so they just use the different tones that are required, and other people, if they want to look at and select at the Pantone level, they can go on and select at the Pantone level. So there's 2 choices there on there. So that determines the sort of data entry for those 3 key areas. The planning groups are completely flexible. You can decide, you can run with just one planning group, or you can run with multiple planning groups. For example, you may want to put your ladies range separate, or your licensed product separate because you need license approval. You may want to plan your leather products separately to your synthetic products because the lead time is longer to get materials from the tannery, or entirely up to the users on how they use the planning group. And each planning group can have its own final selection date. The selection date is just really a target date where we've decided that we want to have all the designs and styles into work and completed, finalised by that date. So it just gives a facility in the system to monitor and indicate to the account manager, if they're starting to get close to the deadline and they still haven't there's still a lot to do. If I go into maintain it, it's essentially a grid, and the grid, in simple terms, the section here, the notes, the design brief, these are really the area where we will get an example with a picture somewhere. Yeah. So, for example, for that particular slot, we're saying that we want to use that style that's shown in the picture, and we want to do a design amend to it for the new season. So that's a previous season style that the customer or we've decided that we want to use it again in the new season, but we're just going to tweak it a little bit. We might change the colour, we might change the style slightly, or whatever. So that's the starting point, and the user can put notes in against that. I don't know. Again, it depends on your team. We have account managers with a team of designers, so they would put the notes in here. They can obviously they can save it, but they can also email it if they wanted to. If sometimes we do work with freelance designers who don't work in the same building, so we can email that information to them. But you can see straight away that the notes button has changed colour slightly, and you can see the note there change colour to camo. So the designer's got the references that they need to go ahead then and create that style. Anything that has a picture in here means that the development is underway. That could be the very first development style, or they could already be on in this case, the second revision. So they're on to the second revision of that one. But that just means that the slot's been assigned, the style's been created, and it's going through the process of sampling, customer review, revisions, further sampling, etc., etc. And the section here controls that. We can also see down here that this particular product, we've already got samples in place. We've got samples that are due on the 15th, or samples were created on the 15th of October. If I go into the sample screen, I can see the full history for that slot. So I can see that was created. I've got the various dates here. It's due for UK delivery on the 31st of October. So we need to dispatch it from, or the China office needs to dispatch that from round about the 29th of the 10th to get there. And there is a facility here if the factory starts advising of delays or samples are going to be early, then we can change that latest estimate by using this. I'll just change it by 2 days. So we can change the latest estimate on that, and that feeds through. So there would be the sample order would have been generated within the system, and that's accessible to the overseas offices immediately. We don't have to sort of email it or send it. Now that's the sample order that you can view on screen. I just noticed there that the orientation of the image is actually incorrect. It's obviously not printed that correctly. It's printed it on 2 pages, and I'll just explain why and how you fix that in a second. The other thing is barcode labels. We use barcode labels within William Lamb footwear. These are stuck to the samples when they come in for scanning and dispatching back to the UK on there. So your barcode label has all the information on about the product, the date it was ordered, the mould, the last, the sample size, colours, and obviously when that barcode is scanned, it identifies that shoe. So that's on there, that's on the sample. So we know that the samples have been created for that one. Up here we can see there's no sampling date, so we know we've created that, but we haven't created a sample yet on that one. So it just means, just going back to that the reason we did it that way was that if somebody came in to create a sample, again, to create a sample they have to go through this screen, so they can immediately see that they've already got samples outstanding. So if they're obviously wanting to create another sample order, then they're doing it in the knowledge that that they're ordering additional samples. Just to show you the sample order, it does show you down here, this is the information relating to the style that you're ordering. You can hide these wherever you see the little sort of black pyramids, whatever they are, triangles. You can sort of minimise and maximise. So on here, the original local delivery date is the date that we want it delivering to the overseas office. Go for the 30th. And that's likely to be November 4th. Transport mode. This has actually been changed. This is all defaults now and is automatic, so there's not a great deal that the user has to sort of type in there. Now it may be that we're ordering more samples because we've had a licensing revision or the customers changed. I can put order comments in there. Down onto here, and we can order half pairs, so if we only want 3.5 pairs, then we can do that on that. And takes me back, and we can see now that we've got 2 outstanding sample orders for that particular style, due 1 day difference. I guess you could, in theory, if you wanted to do that, I suppose you could, if you've got the procedures in place, you could have gone into that sample order and edited it and changed the quantity, increased the quantity to the appropriate number of pairs. William Lamb don't really have the right, well, they feel that it's risky doing it that way, so they would create new orders, but you can do it either way. Anyway, once you're in that screen, although you've come from a slot, you're just looking at that slot, but you can actually you can still access any other samples, so you can review any samples by selecting the appropriate filters at the top from that screen. And there's indications here of when the selection date is. So this is the selection date for that particular planning group, 14th of Feb 2014, so you've plenty of time. That is highlighted green because there's plenty of time. If we were getting close to that date, it would turn to amber, and then once it gets to that date and we're starting to be late, then that changes to a red colour. So styles, in terms of styles, if I want to change the styles, all the styles go through this maintenance wizard. You may notice that the images don't particularly match the photograph that we came from, but in theory this should show you, this shows you the full sort of details of the style in that slot, and this is where you can amend it. So if you want to amend the base pattern, the last, the ID or whatever, you would click on the amend. You can go into the base patterns, probably unlikely, but that'll take you into the base patterns and show you what base patterns are available at the factory that's you currently giving the samples to. And as you click on a particular base pattern, I haven't got any examples. Okay, there's the different style variants that we have down here. So on that base pattern, there may be multiple what we call cutting patterns, because they put different overlays on or whatever, and the different variations would sort of be shown down here, just for so you know it's the right base pattern that you're selecting. Again, if the base pattern doesn't exist, you can, from that screen, you can go and create a brand new base pattern if necessary, and then link it back. I'll not change that at the moment. Same on the cutting pattern. If you want to change the cutting pattern, you can click on that particular section, drill into the cutting pattern, and that'll show you all the different cutting patterns that we have on the system that are from that base pattern or base standard. So these are all well, obviously that's not correct, but that's the logic. You know, all these would be the exact same base pattern, but just different cutting patterns. So if you want to change the style to a slightly different variation, you would just select the one that you want and go back, and it would change on here. So again, I'll not change that. A revision, if you're just changing, there's just a slight change on the system, you might be adding double stitching or slightly making some minor I don't know, that's just an example. Or you might be adding embroidery, removing embroidery, adding an embellishment or removing an embellishment. Again, that would be identified on the system as a new revision of that style. And finally, your branding, your artwork, your colours. If you're want to change the branding or the actual artwork on that style, you would do it here. And once you've finished, you would save, and the system would create the new style, put that style into the slot, and everything should be dealt with. There's a few checking things here where the system is actually checking that the customer has approved, that it's an approved customer at this factory, and at the capital. So the customer's approved. It's checking if it was licensed product that we've got a manufacturing audit in place. It's checking that the license is approved, and it's also checking that there is a manufacturing agreement. That should be audit status. That's ethical audit or corporate responsibility. So it covers ethical, security, technical audits, etc. So it's just some checks. It's purely visual at that point. If we saved, if that was a true situation, the designer would save that. The designer may look at that red and actually make a phone call, but if they don't, when they save it, the appropriate department would be notified that there is a product being sampled or developed in that factory where we do not have a manufacturing agreement in place currently, and that the department responsible for that should then chase and make sure that everything's in place for the time we get to production. Okay, so that's probably enough for this particular video.